Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, 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 ba-da-da-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum, ba-ba-dum, bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, 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 ba-da-da-dum, bum, bum, ba-da-da-da-dum. Da 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 ba da 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 ba da 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 bum ba da da ba da 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 ba da 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 and da 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 da. Hello, my friends. Hello, I see you come in early. Harry, Leanne, I see all of you coming in. Lois, Jennifer, hi everyone. Oh my gosh, it's so great to see everyone. Yes, no, I am not in Florida, so I'm missing the hurricane. And so I know we're going to be talking about sciatica and back conditions tonight, but you know what? I think it might be a good idea to talk about these kinds of issues: hurricanes, disasters, war. We're going to still talk about sciatica. I think we can do it all. Okay, I think we can get it all in one 30-minute event. And so let's get started. My name is Joette Calabrese, for those of you who don't know me. And we're here every Monday night, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, with one thing in mind and one thing only, and that is homeopathy and disseminating this information and getting it to you, and then you get it to others, and you spread the word so that it is like a big, beautiful tapestry of people from all over the world, all helping each other using the ultimate medicine, homeopathy. And so, for those of you who do know me, welcome, friends. It's always great to see you. Hi, everyone. Venice, Ohio, and Mia. Hi, everyone. Hi, Karen. Hi, Leanne. Hearts, 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 hearts to you too, and Facebook friends. So nice to see everyone. So let's talk about this situation in Florida and what's going on, shall we? Um, we know how the media is. They cannot be trusted completely. They overestimate, they overexcite. It sells news. It gets all their numbers up. I used to sell advertising time. I used to sell airtime, my friends, for NBC years ago. So I know how this all works, Arbitron, Nielsen, and how the ratings go up and down and all over the place, and those numbers then determined how much money we could get for a commercial. So that built our revenue, of course. And this was back in the early 80s, so it was a I don't know, maybe it seems like a kinder time than what we've been living through in the last few years now. But and someday I'll tell the story. I've told the story many times about working at NBC and how corrupt the news versus the advertising was. But at any rate, let's not talk about that tonight. Let's instead talk about when there's going to be a disaster, and uh, we're pummeled with the event on television, on radio. Evacuate, evacuate. Not that you shouldn't evacuate, of course. If you live in the area, of course you should evacuate. But what I'm saying is, there's a lot of hype and a lot of fear. And so when that happens, and we get caught up in that, and we're fearful of an impending doom, fearful of impending event, fearful of something that's forthcoming, one of the best medicines we have, it hasn't happened yet. We've got the fear now, but the event has not happened yet, is gelsemium. Now, this is the way I want you to remember gelsemium. Gelsemium was used during the Civil War. Homeopathic physicians were very common during the Civil War. And so on the front lines, you would find homeopathic physicians helping the young men. And when they knew had to go into battle the next day, so sad to even think about it, the physician would administer gelsemium to the men to give them courage, to give them the gumption to be able to go in and face their demise. Amazing. This is not quite the same, not at all, but nonetheless, gelsemium is anxiety that is that brings about diarrhea, a weakness, a feeling very vulnerable, lack of courage. Lack of courage is what it is. And so gelsemium in a 30 or 200, 30s and 200s are, unless it's a protocol, they're pretty much interchangeable in many ways. And so you could use gelsemium 30, 2, 3 times in a day. If the angst is getting to your children, you live in Florida, you've got to evacuate. Or if it happens, along the Gulf Coast or California with the mudslides and the fires and, all of these kinds of things. And of course, overseas, in other parts of the world, gelsemium is very good for that. And what does it do? What's so beautiful about homeopathy is that it doesn't drug us. No, we are not into being drugged. We want to have full capacity, full ability to understand and know what we're doing at all times. So there are no side effects, of course. All it does is it brings us back home, which means that it just feels like, oh, yeah, we have to evacuate. Okay, get the dog, get the cat. Let's get some eggs or some food, some fruit, whatever we need to bring, leave the house. And so we have some food on the way. Let's pack up some water, some extra clothing, and let's be on our way. And it just becomes more, we become grounded and more clear headed as to what needs to be done. Then, if that starts to come back again the next day, 2 days later, oh my gosh, what if my building is destroyed? What if the neighborhood dog gets caught up in it? What all of those what ifs, it means you need another couple doses of gelsemium. And so we spread them out over, say, 2 to 3 times in a day, spread out over the day and back right as rain, so to speak. So we stop using gelsemium when the event or the issue, the way the person is thinking, is finished. If it's over with, it's over with. It's not like supplements, my friends. We don't take these forevermore. No, we take them because they're medicine when they're needed. When they're no longer needed, then we stop. If they're needed again, we take it up again. Now, someone wrote in here aconitum, and they're so right. Yes, Lisa says gelsemium is lovely for anticipatory anxiety or fear, or for watching the news. You bet, absolutely could drive you nuts, that news. But at any rate, the other one, aconitum, is also great for if the person is stuck and now they are in it. They're in the storm. They may not even be in the storm, but they're now. It's more, instead of anticipating the anxiety of anticipating, now they're absolutely freaked out. Ailments from being stuck in an elevator, ailments from, for a long period of time, ailments from witnessing an atrocity, ailments from witnessing an accident or being in an accident, ailments from 1 minute everything is fine to the next minute life is a mess. That's aconitum. Now, I prefer aconitum in a 200 potency instead of a 30. And so that can be used after the gelsemium or aside instead of gelsemium if the situation fits. Okay. Yes, I find turning the TV off is the best remedy for all of that. Well, what's interesting is that and I've told this story many times, when I used to work for NBC, I was so, listen, when I worked there, I didn't even give it a thought. This was just marketing. That's what we did. Nobody even thought about how things could be corrupt. It wasn't like we are corrupt, hence this is what we do. We just worked. And so when I left, it kind of hit me, some of the things, not all. I mean, there were wonderful people I was working with. I really actually enjoyed that job a great deal. But when I think back about how the advertisers had control over the news, and that's the corruption I'm talking about. It hit me that television was really just a medium to disseminate somebody else's information to the general public. Somebody else wants us to buy their product. Somebody else wants us to think this way so that we behave that way, etc. So it's just a way of someone else infiltrating our thinking. So I bought this bumper sticker and I put it on the back of my car and it said, "Kill your television." And so that's actually what I did. I had to have a television when I worked for NBC because I had to monitor stations. It was required. But once I left, I got rid of my television, and then I had our children, and we never had a television in the house since that time. So my children grew up television less, and it was a very good thing. So let's keep going because I want to talk to you tonight about um, back pain. Let's talk about sciatica, which is not. I mean, it is a back pain of sorts, and sometimes it can start on, at the actual back, at the spine. More often than not, it starts at the buttocks and goes down the leg or two legs, or usually it's one, but it can be both. Let's start with if you're hit by a Zamboni. Okay, let's get back to our Leon's here. Our Zamboni. If you get hit, if there's an injury, whether it is a fall or a blow, and ever since then, the person has sciatica pain, and it doesn't have to be that moment of it, could be a week later. There was a lot of postponement of injuries or of conditions after injuries, and we don't realize that they're related often. So if there's a back injury, a blow or a fall or something like that, and sciatica is the result, we're going to start out with the same medicine we almost always start out with when there's a blow or an injury, and that is arnica. Now, if the pain is um, horrible pain, sciatica can be really, really painful, but it can also just be an annoyance only when you move certain ways. And that's not what I'd call tremendously painful. It's more like something that gets in our way, but it's not maddening. But if it is maddening and the pain is extraordinary, we can use that arnica because it was a blow or an injury, etc., or a fall, as well as, excuse me, hypericum. We always think of hypericum for extreme pain, okay? Because it means that it's related to severe pain and the nerves. Um, we also want to think about hypericum when there is an electric sensation or electric shock or a nerve sensation that is related to the sciatica or any back pain or any limb pain for that matter. We're going to be thinking of hypericum. Now, what potencies do we use? I love arnica in a 200. I've used it in a 30. I think you'll find it useful in a 30 as well. Arnica Montana 200C. And hypericum, I more often than not use it in a 200 once in a while. If it's really extraordinary pain, I'll go higher than that, 1M. I've even used it in a 10M, but that's for extraordinary circumstances. So I would urge you not to use that. I prefer people to use it in a 200. And then if there's a back injury and it results in sciatica, we're also going to be thinking about ruta, Ruta, ruta graveolens, because oftentimes the sciatica pain is related, of course, to tendons, muscles, nerves, etc. But ruta is very specific for tendons, muscles, and also and joints. So one could actually use arnica 200, hypericum 200, and ruta 200, alternating them for sciatica that is very specifically related to ailments from a previous injury. And that could be used 2 times a day of each one. Wake up in the morning, 7 o'clock, arnica, Montana 200. 5 after 7, hypericum 200. 10 after 7, ruta graveolens, ruta 200. And then we start again, maybe 3 hours later, depending on how severe it is. Now, what I mean by that is, for those of you who are new, we don't use homeopathy just because. It's not like a vitamin. It's not like a supplement. These are medicines, and we use them only when needed. And we have to have proof. What kind of proof that they're needed? Pain is the proof. Suffering is the proof. Then what we're looking for is, if we use this 3 times a day, 7 in the morning, then say maybe 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and then maybe 7 that night. That's what we're looking for, is kind of a little rhythm going. And if those 2 to 3 doses a day make a difference, then we know we're on to the right protocol, or not protocol, excuse me, the right schedule. And that is what's going to give us our pattern that we're going to be following. Then, after a couple days, if we see that we're much improved, back off of a dose, taper back twice a day. Try it 7 in the morning and 7 at night only. If that still works, beautiful. If you find that after you take the hypericum, you feel the best, skip the arnica and ruta. So we're always adjusting. We're always looking at the symptoms and the medicine and whether or not they need to be adjusted to a different medicine or a different frequency or sometimes a different potency. That's what we're always doing. It's always like a dance. As I always say, a pas de deux, a dance of two. You observe and you adjust. You observe the condition and you adjust. And you just determine which potency, which frequency, which medicine is doing the best work, particularly in this situation, because we have 3 that we're working with. Okay. Now let us say, oh, here we go. Use naphthalinium for a very painful sciatica. Yes, there are many remedies um, um, for sciatica, but I'm going to give you the top ones, and that is one of them. But what I also like for it is bryonia. Bryonia is for sciatica that's worse for movement, which means that it might be painful being seated, but once the person gets up and moves, that's when it's really painful. They have to sit back down because the pain is greater with the movement. So they don't want to move, and that is bryonia. And my friends, that is the keynote of bryonia. Worse from movement. Imagine if you broke your arm, and every time you move it, you go ow, 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 ow. That means one would need bryonia. It's not the only medicine we would use. We probably for a broken arm, we might use also symphytum and arnica and other medicines too. But just know that anytime something hurts on movement, that we're going to be considering from movement, not on movement, from movement. And the reason I'm making that differentiation is because there are medicines that we use that are worse at from first movement and then better on continued movement. This bryonia is worse for movement regardless of how often and how continued it is. Bryonia. What would I use? I might use a 30 or 200 potency, and I might use that again 3 times a day. Okay, this is not from a back injury. This is just garden variety sciatica. We have no idea why. Okay. Now I'm going to give you another medicine that I absolutely adore, and it is often overlooked in homeopathy for pain, and that is colocynthis. Sciatica, that it is especially where the pain is shooting. Now, I just finished telling you if it's shooting pain, we're going to consider hypericum, but that's more likely, my friends, not always, but more likely to be as a result of an injury, a blow, a fall. Then we would consider a little bit more towards hypericum. But when it isn't an injury or a fall, we can still consider hypericum. But I love this medicine, colocynthis. Okay. It's I use it in a 30C. I've used it in a 200C, and it's especially valuable for sharp shooting pain, but also it's especially valuable for left-sided sciatica. Yes, the sides matter, my friends. The sides matter. Now, regardless of whether or not, as I said, was an injury, hypericum is still considered if we have that electric pain or that sharp shooting. So we have to kind of differentiate between sharp shooting pain that would require colocynthis and sharp shooting pain that would require hypericum. More likely, if it's an injury, as a result of an injury, it's going to be hypericum, but it can still be useful in garden variety, unrelated to injury, sciatica. All right. Here's one that you may not know about. I'm sure you know this medicine if you've been studying homeopathy, but you'll know it for a different reason. This is for sciatica that is worse from sitting or standing. In other words, being still, standing for a period of time or sitting. Better to be moving or laying, and worse at night. More often, worse at night. Now, We might say, well, at night, it's because I'm sitting still. But the person with sciatica, if it's severe enough, they're sitting all day. It's really hard to live with sciatica. So it's worse at night. Why is that? We don't know. It just is. And that's all we don't need to ask why. In homeopathy, my friends, we don't need to know the whys so much. Once in a while, it's valuable, but more often than not, we just need to know the what. What is it that's happening? To describe the pain? What kind of pain? Describe when it happens. And if you know if you know the name of the condition, that's also what is it. All right. So this medicine is sometimes there's also with this medicine I'm about to tell you about, there's a sense of ants crawling on the limbs. It's called formication. It's a strange sensation, and it would be on the limb that has the sciatica, of course. But if there was, I say of course because that's the first thought we might have. But what if there's sciatica pain on one side and the other leg has the formication? I would still consider this medicine, and this remedy is Kali iodatum. Yes, Kali iodatum. It also happens to be a great medicine for when there is a condition related to the sinuses. So we are thinking in terms of thus just the sciatica, but wow, we've got the concerto playing here right now. Anyway, music playing in the background. Um, anyway, this is Kelly iodatum. If the person also has sinus issues or lung issues, Kelly iodatum could also help us become more tightly attached to the idea of using this medicine. I have one more remedy I want to teach you about. We've got time. Let me see about your questions. Excuse me. Tailbone injury leading to sciatica. I could say that it probably would be the same profile. Tailbone injuries more often than not is okay, folks. You know this. Tell me, students of mine, um, what remedy you would use for tailbone injury? Yeah, tarantula. Someone is saying this is for right-sided. Yep, there are a lot of great remedies for sciatica. Anybody know? Yes, you've got it. Pat and Susan and Vanessa and Leon, Hypericum. You got it. Hypericum is a great remedy for tailbone injury. That could be a tailbone injury, could be from landing on the tailbone, from an injury, let's say skiing or something like that, or from giving birth. There can be a tailbone, there can be that kind of an injury from the, especially if the mother was given oxycodone. No, excuse me, not oxycodone. What is the other drug that they give women? Um, Somebody's going to tell me what it is. When they give a woman the drug to encourage labor, when she most often does not even need it. But at any rate, when drugs are used during birthing, the sometimes the contractions are unnaturally powerful, and the baby's head hits against the mother's coccyx. Pitocin. Thank you. Pitocin. I was going to call it the pit. That's what they often call it. Pitocin. When a mother's given Pitocin, the baby, it is so unnatural. The contractions are so extreme that the baby's head is hitting very hard against the coccyx. That can be a call for hypericum, but it doesn't even have to be. Could be a natural birth, and it could still be painful coccyx. I would use all of these medicines I'm talking about today would be 30s or 200s. Let's see what else we've got here. Neck pain. Well, it depends. Are we talking? See, it's not just the neck. Is it the muscles of the neck? Is it arthritis, the neck? is in the neck? Is it are they tendons? That's what we kind of need to know a little bit more. So we talked a little bit about pain that was to the neck. Is it from an injury? Is it from overlifting? Is it from sleeping wrong? All of those, we want to know a little bit more information before we can determine which remedies to use. It's just to keep the mother quiet. Oh, God. Yeah. For those of you who are birthing age, reproductive age, make sure you have your babies at home. For those of you who are the mothers and the fathers of adult children, tell your children to have babies at home. At home, the way it's been done for thousands of years up until half a century ago. Just have a good midwife there. Okay. Sternum bruise or possible fracture collarbone. Sternum bruise. Bruise. Bruise, bruise, bruise. We talked about blows, right? A blow would cause a bruise. A fall could cause a bruise. What's the remedy for bruising, my friends? Okay, now let's look on this side. No, you did not miss tinnitus. Next week we're going to do tinnitus. I think it'll be next week, most likely. Let's see what we've got here. Neck pain, injury, stiff neck, lots of pain. Stiff neck. Stiff neck. Yes, there we go. Arnica for the bruise, for the blow, for a bruise to the I think, what did she say? Collarbone? We're flipping through so many. And then the other person is saying stiff neck. Okay, friends, tell us the stiff neck remedy. There are two, maybe three, but two. One important one, corticolis or torticollis. Got to start with the right letter. Torticollis. Let's see if people are coming up with it. Thank you very much, Kay. Rhus tox. Stiff neck, Rhus tox. Rhus tox. RHUS tox. Elvira says it. Michelle knows it. Carol knows it. Rhus tox. Yes, my friends. That's what we use for a stiff neck, generally speaking. And I like to use it in a 200. I'll be honest with you, when I've had really severe stiff neck, and it has happened to me only a couple of times, I've fallen asleep on a road trip with my head off to the side, and the air conditioner was blowing at it. That's the perfect opportunity to get a torticollis, and Rhus tox gets me out of it within a few hours. And I have used as high as a 1M, but I don't think it's necessary. I use 200 more often, and that's what I urge folks to use. Back issues. Yeah, we've been doing back issues. Yes, my friends. This is whiplash. Yes, Rhus tox 1M for whiplash. A lot of times people are in car accidents and they get whiplash 2 days later. They're in the accident. They don't realize that they've been affected. 2 days later, I'm guessing this is what happens. The muscles and the tendons tighten up, and now there's pain, and it's a reaction to the event that occurred days before. Use it till cure, right? Use it till cure. Or if you're using homeopathic medicine and it's causing trouble, and it can happen because you may be using the wrong medicine. That's how it happens. We're using the wrong medicine. If you use the wrong medicine and it causes trouble, in other words, symptoms are getting worse or new symptoms are coming up, what should we do? If you are eating something that doesn't feel right, you're eating the chicken and it doesn't make you feel very good, you're going to do what? Stop eating the chicken. If you're taking a drug from the doctor who says this is going to be so wonderful for you and you take it and you feel worse, what do? You stop the drug. This is medicine, so it's the same thing. We are not looking for this medicine to make someone worse for a short period of time and then resolve it. That's a method in homeopathy that I don't follow any longer. And it confuses the heck out of people. But so that you know, if something is going awry, you stop. Okay, that is one of the most important aspects of understanding homeopathy. And then you reassess. Thank you, Jennifer. Yes, and then you reassess. All right, my friends, it's been a great night. Wonderful to see you. I can't believe how quickly this goes by. Stop it. And so I will see you next week. I don't know. We might continue on with back issues. We might go on with some more joint issues, but I really would like to get to tinnitus. I'm spending some time kind of putting some thoughts together for that. And so with that, my friends, I say God bless you all. Mwah! See you next week. Stay curious and ungovernable. Good night, my friends.